Well, it's 10:33. I want to respect everybody's time because we do have a lot of stuff to go over today. Welcome to today's class on using InfoSparks and FastStats to be the market expert. I am your host, Anthony. Just a little bit about me, or an intro of who I am in case you don't know me. My name is Anthony. I work here at Orange County Realtors. Been here now for a little over 18 years. Started off in the MLS department, so I know guaranteed I'll speak to everybody regarding rules, regulations, violations, all that fun stuff. What I'm also involved with is our outreach program. Our outreach program is designed to give you training on all your tools and products. So not only do I give training on MLS, how to run searches, how to modify listings, create CMAs, but I also train on zip forms. I am zip forms certified. And basically I show you how to put together those transactions electronically, how to digitally sign the contracts, and of course, all the other technical tools that zip forms does have to offer. And of course, I love training on tech. I love showing real estate agents how they can utilize their technology and third-party member benefits to become better agents, how to utilize your phone, tablet devices on the go to access MLS, to access zip forms, write up a contract right on your phone or tablet device, listing presentations, the whole gambit. And this is where, my job is to help you become what I like to call the 21st century agent. And usually what I meant by that was to start going paperless in your business. But today, because of last year's challenges, and thankfully, the use of technology has really spearheaded and helped you guys in your real estate career to be able to still continuously be able to do amazing business. So today's topic, InfoSparks, what is it? What is FastStats? Well, InfoSparks and FastStats is an OC Realtors member benefit, as well as a CRMLS member benefit that provides MLS statistical data that members can use to show market realities. Now, what's really interesting about this information is that InfoSparks and FastStats data uses 100% MLS data only. There's no third-party estimations. It's actually what's been going on within the MLS system. There's no outside influences. There's no somebody guesstimating things or anything like that. Okay. Now, this data is updated every month, and this data that's shown is for the prior month. So every month, the information's updated with prior month data, because it usually takes a couple of days or to get that information out there. So right now, what we're going to be looking at for the month of July is June numbers. Okay, which is not bad, right? 6 months into the year, it's a good idea to see what's been going on for the past 6 months. Now, I know what a lot of people think, right? Tony, what makes InfoSparks and FastStats any different than any of these other public websites that even consumers are going to? Well, the biggest thing that we have to ask ourselves, and the biggest thing that we need to make sure that they look at, is how accurate these public websites are. Okay. Now, all of them are very upfront about how accurate their information is, but not everybody takes the time to actually research it. So what is known about these estimates? And this is the big thing that I always push to real estate agents. And this is why, this is where you need to look at this. Like, as an example, on one of these third-party websites, under the active listing accuracy, if we're looking around the Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim areas, basically LA and Orange County, okay, they're saying that their median error is about 2%. Maybe they're 2% off, but wait a minute. What you're really going to look for is here. Are they within 5% of the sales price, 10% of the sales price, or 20% of the sales price? Now, if we're just taking maybe the mid ground, 10%, their accuracy is about 96%. That means that they're off about a little over or a little under 4%. Now, what they don't tell you, though, is 10% of the sales price of the listing, well, that's in two different directions, 10% positive, 10% negative. So if a home is estimated to be valued at, say, $1 million plus or minus 10%, that's a what? $100,000, $200,000 gap around the sales price. So if you think about that, $200,000 off in their pricing. Now, I don't know about you guys, but as a homeowner, would you want to play with your largest owned assets estimated values or value? Here, we're even going to look at the off-market value for the same area. For them to be within 10% saying, geez, this property should have sold for this much, they're only accurate 74% of the time. That's more than 25% off, plus or minus 200,000 or plus or minus 10%. So they're right up front about them not being accurate. So this is why consumers need to listen to you as a professional, right? You have access to the most accurate information at all times. You're going to be able to show people in a CMA what people are listing for and what they're closing for and how fast they're getting into escrow at the list prices that they're listed for. Statistical data is no different. Now, how are agents going to use statistical data? By the way, are there any questions so far? Did anybody realize that those third-party websites are off by that much? And yet, time and time again, consumers seem to say, well, I saw it on the internet, it must be true, right? No, you didn't know that, huh, Vicky? Yeah. This is why they need to start listening to you as an individual. Now, how can you use statistical data? Okay. Well, statistical information is going to help elevate your online presence. You're going to also increase your credibility. You're going to have better client interactions. And of course, you're going to manage those client expectations. We're going to talk a little bit in this quick 5-10 minute presentation on how to do that before we actually jump into where to find these stats. Now, to elevate your online presence, how are you going to do that? You need to distribute out the information. And it's not just your online presence, it's just your real estate presence. Transparency is availability. Talk about the information. Don't be afraid to talk about the information. Distribute it out there constantly. Distribute it out there constantly to people. Put it on your social media. Put it on your website. Do a video about it. Hand it out at an open house or hand it out at door knocking. Get that information out there. Now, anybody here on social media? And you can raise your hand if you want. Vicky, you're the only person that's on social media. Excellent. By any chance, does anybody know that you're a real estate agent on social media? So your friends and family, do they know that you're a real estate agent, or do they just know you as a friend or family member? Because the reason why I asked this, mainly as a friend, right? Why? Because you never talk about real estate. So social media, if you're looking at that as a potential platform for marketing, which, hey, most of that information on there, or most of what you could do on there is free. If you don't ever talk about real estate, how will anybody on the largest social media platform like Facebook ever know that you're in the real estate industry, right? The secret agents do not do a lot of business. And one of the reasons why you're here today is to try to gain more business. Well, you need to distribute out information and talk about information because you're the real estate professional. I'm new and I feel, I'm new and I feel like I need to learn more before putting myself out there. Vicky, you know what? And that's okay to do, but you could be missing out on a lot of opportunities, especially amongst your friends and family. A lot of friends and family, especially on social media, like to go with somebody that they trust. So if they have already built this rapport with you, that's potential business for you. So don't forget that. That's great that you want to learn more, right? But don't hinder yourself by not putting yourself out there, right? Most businesses have to put themselves out there largely to even get any foot traffic, right? Because if they sat around and they waited to be able to learn their business entirely, they could actually go bankrupt. And we're not in the business of going bankrupt, right? We're in the business of generating, because this is our livelihood. So what I encourage you to do is distribute out this information. Now, you can do this in several ways. Or with these reports, you can brand them with your own personal logos, okay? You can edit the PDFs to apply your branding. InfoSparks will actually be automatically branded based on your MLS roster information. You can promote property stats of the area. Now, even though we have the InfoSparks, FastStats has two interesting reports called the Local Market Update Report, or if you're really into statistics and you like to show market trends, you've got the Monthly Indicator Report, which is a beautiful 15-page statistical report of the entire county. Now, you can use this information by digital or print versions. So put these reports on your website, social media, or even hand them out or attach them onto your flyers at an open house. And Vicki, by the way, I only say that because I want to see agents succeed. I've known too many agents to say that they want to learn everything before they start to do business, and 3 years goes by and they still have not done a sale. And then the first complaint is, I'm running out of money. So I don't want you to ever be faced with that, okay? Put your marketing action, or put your business plan together, which is your marketing action plan, which is part of that. And then just strategize how you want to generate business. And this is going to be one of those tools that you could use to help you generate business, because one thing that we need to be able to show in our business is that we're the market expert. We know what's going on in our market. By the way, one thing I didn't tell you here, even though people do go online to look at these estimations, right? Where else may you see real estate data information as a consumer? In the newspaper. Every Thursday, the OC Register puts out something regarding real estate in its paper once a week. But unfortunately, some of the articles, or most of the articles I've read in their real estate section, are 6 months to almost a year old. So they're really not giving you the most updated version of your market. So as a consumer, this is why, again, they need to depend on a real estate agent who knows their market to help them help guide them properly, okay? Now, you can increase your credibility because you're basically going to position yourself as the market expert, okay? By using this empirical evidence, this is going to help complement your experience. Now, I know, Vicki, you said you're a brand new agent. This is going to be even more vital to help showcase that you're not overly inexperienced, right? Now, we give you the data, you just interpret it however you see it, okay? Each and every one of you attending today will see something different in our market. And why is that? Because you are going to attract the type of business that you want to attract. And what I mean by that, there are some agents that will look at this data and say, wow, this is a growing business, or this is a growing economy. We're going to push that for people who need to buy now before they get themselves priced out of the market. There will be other agents that will say, geez, the doom and gloom is coming. It's better to sell now versus later, when you're going to lose the value of your home. Each and every one of you are going to be able to attract different clientele based on how you market to that niche market. And you don't need to know all the stats. You just need to know one to become that market expert. If you know that one and you know how you want to push it and how you like to interpret it, this is what's going to make you the market expert, because other people of the same like mind will see the exact number or see those numbers in the exact same way. So there is no wrong way of interpreting these numbers. Okay. Now, another way to become the market expert is that you're going to be able to utilize stats to be able to answer all the popular questions that I know each and every one of you, whether you're new to the business or you're a veteran in the business, has at least been asked at least one of these questions, if not all of these questions. Like, is it a buyer's or seller's market? Well, a stat you would look at is the month supply of inventory. How do property types compare? Well, here in Orange County, it's probably better to compare attached versus detached versus single family versus condo. Now, why is that? Well, here in Orange County, there are single family detached, but there are also single family attached properties, as well as there's condo attached, but there are also condo detached properties. The price points on those are vastly different based on whether they're attached or detached. Usually a single family attached and a condo attached are usually about the same price points, and a condo detached, as well as a single family detached, are usually around the same price points. Are prices going up and down? This is the median sales price. How long will it take you to sell your home? Days on market. How much of my asking price will I get as a seller? You're looking at percentage of price being received. And of course, when do I have the most options as a buyer? Well, that's the inventory. And again, I know most of you, if not all of you, have been asked at least one or at least two of these questions. Now, managing expectations is huge, right? We need to keep our clients in check. So how do we do that? Well, you can use the various different metrics to help manage these expectations by using days on market, median price, percentage of original list price being received, or inventory. You're going to be able to impress clients or potential clients at listing appointments with the market realities. Again, we're showing them what's actually going on in the MLS, not companies that are estimating and not comparing like to like properties. They're estimating, as we just showed. And you're going to be able to provide the necessary information and education to help a client be empowered to make a well data-driven decision. So how does this benefit everybody? Well, it's going to help benefit you because it's going to help enhance your negotiating power, not just with a potential seller, but also with a potential buyer. You're also going to be able to not only enhance your negotiating power with those clients, but you're also going to be able to help enhance your negotiating power with another agent. How many of you have ever decided to try to negotiate with another agent, but if they happen to know the market better than you, that you felt that you gave in to them easier? Do you want to give in to somebody because you don't know the market? Or do you want them to give in to you because you know the market and you know how to use that to your advantage or your client's advantage? You're also going to be able to connect with those analytical personality clients. Anybody have those types of clients right now where those clients just say, just show me the numbers. I don't need all the fancy dancy stuff around here. Probably a few of you. You're also going to be able to connect with the emotional decision makers. Take the emotion out of it. The numbers don't lie. Here's what to actually expect. Now, ultimately, this is going to also help benefit you because it's going to reduce not only your client's anxiety and their emotions, but it's also going to help reduce your anxiety. Because I know everybody here today takes on your client's emotions. How many of you wake up in the middle of the night wondering why there aren't more offers on your listing? Or why aren't your offers getting accepted by more and more sellers, right? And because you're being asked by your client, why aren't my offers being accepted? Why aren't I getting offers on a listing, right? And you start taking that on yourself. Here, if we can use these numbers to help reduce our client's anxiety, that's going to help us sleep easier at night. Anybody here not sleep? Darcy, Denise, anybody? Hopefully everybody gets a little sleep, right? All right. Real quickly, anybody know the difference between a seller's market, buyer's market, and a balanced market? Seller's marketing is 27 days. Okay. So Gary's given his answer. Good answer. Has to do with days on market. If above 50, then it's a seller's market. So Vicky's kind of giving the same answer. It's all based on days on market, right? And those are really good answers, Gary and Vicky. But unfortunately, no. It's basic economics. Basic economics is basically what makes something a seller's market, buyer's market, or balanced market when it comes to this is supply and demand. There you go, Vicky. You got it. Supply and demand. So in a seller's market, this is when you have a lot of demand, but no inventory to meet, or not enough supply to meet that demand. So what ends up happening is prices all of a sudden start to skyrocket or start to peak, right? Or go up very sharply because properties can't come on the market fast enough before they're in escrow, right? This is with anything, right? Look at gas, look at groceries. Remember toilet paper, right? Or gosh, what was the other thing last year? Hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer at one point was what? $1 for a big old thing of hand sanitizer. Then what happened? The pandemic happened. You couldn't find any of it on the shelves. Now it's like $7, $8, right? Because people demanded, people wanted it. It wasn't there anymore. It's hard to obtain. Well, guess what? Homes are the same. So in a seller's market, you've got more demand than the supply can meet, which now ultimately means that prices are going to start going up. Now, in the nation, this would indicate less than 5 months of inventory. Okay. And what I mean by that is that inventory, if somebody were to stop it, it would take 5 months to burn through that inventory based on the current demand. Okay. Now, unfortunately, here in Orange County, we are a microclimate, okay, when it comes to real estate. As a matter of fact, if you'll look, or if you look at things, usually things begin to happen here in Orange County first before it ripples out to the rest of the nation. Okay. Now, even though the rest of the nation currently less than 5 months worth of inventory meets a seller's market, here in Orange County, however, this is less than 3 months worth of inventory to make it a seller's market. Now, on the opposite spectrum, buyer's market says that there's more inventory or more supply than actually meets the demand to take it off, which ultimately results in these deep start drops, these deep valleys in pricing. Prices begin to drop, right? Because you can't get rid of that inventory fast enough at all because there's just not a lot of people taking it off the market. Now, in a buyer's market for the nation, it's more than 6 months worth of inventory. Here, though, in Orange County, it's more than 4. So, seller's market in Orange County is less than 3 months of inventory. Buyer's market in Orange County is more than 4 months of inventory. A buyer's market, or I'm sorry, a balanced market is between 5 and 6 months worth of inventory. But this basically means you have enough supply that meets enough regular demand that inventory steadily comes on and off the market at a steady pace, which ultimately means a slower increase in or appreciation of value. Not sharp peaks, not deep valleys, but a nice increase. Things aren't going to shock up the market too much. Now, a balanced market in the nation is between 5 and 6 months worth of supply or inventory. In Orange County, it's between 3 and 4. MSI, Vicky, is month supply of inventory. So less than 3, more than 4, between 3 and 4 is your balanced market, buyer's market, and seller's markets. Okay. Ultimately, everybody likes to see a balanced market because you've all of a sudden got predictability and a steady increase, no housing affordability issues or anything like that. Here, sellers aren't worried, not getting their value for what they bought their homes for, this, that, and the other, So here we're going to be able to look at the stats to be able to talk about these types of markets that we're currently in or could be in. Now, recommendations, supporting your recommendations, you're going to be able to compare local to regional numbers. So basically your CMA, which stands for comparative market analysis, you're comparing this home and other homes like it in the exact neighborhood. Now with stats or with the InfoSparks, you can now take that CMA and say, okay, this home stacks up to this neighborhood this way. But now looking at area information, you can say this home in the rest of the area outside of your neighborhood. And of course, this home versus the city versus the county. How does your home stack up to everybody else? Now, you're also going to be able to dig deeper into your niche markets by displaying and emphasizing the stats that you are targeting in your market, your niche. And again, you're going to also be able to answer those emotional points of price forecasting because ultimately the trend is your friend. You're going to be able to look at information and you're going to be able to look at some of these stats and see what's going on in the market to be able to maybe do a well-educated prediction of what you feel is going to happen based on your clients, based on what you're seeing in the MLS, based on these stats that you're pulling from the MLS. You can pretty much almost predict what's going to happen to help guide people to what they need to do. All right, your personal marketing to help support your business and yourself. You're going to compare yourself to the rest of the market averages, right? Like, geez, the average days on market are 22. But if you list with me, I can sell your home within 15 days. Now, I want you guys to be innovative with the stats. Here you can come up with different ways of displaying them, talking about them, whatever you need, okay? Do videos about them. If you're into video marketing, which is a huge thing that really has a real vast reach, whether it's on social media, YouTube, or even on your website, people digest video content so much easier, or even visual content. Now, you can help produce your own content. Again, we give you the information. You can use it however you see fit, but most importantly, know your stuff, because if you don't, it will show. Guaranteed, if you hand out statistics or one of these statistic reports and somebody asks you about it and the first answer out of your mouth is, I'm not sure, that shoots your credibility in the foot. Why do I want to listen to you? Why are you handing this information out if you don't know it? Again, you don't have to know all the stats, but know at least one or two to be able to emphasize your talking points. Now, ultimately, you're going to be able to create an influential reputation because as people begin to know you and get to know you and you're using these stats, you're now become that market expert. I know Leo, I know Gary. I've seen Gary's YouTube channel where he gives a monthly market update report on Mission Viejo or Irvine or Aliso Viejo. And you know what? In talking with other people, seeing what's being listed out there, Gary knows his stuff. I think I need to trust Gary with my home or my home purchase. Now, again, this is also going to help strengthen your negotiating power. If I know my stats and the agent on the other side doesn't know it or doesn't know the market, I will have an advantage over them in our negotiating of a price. I even will have a better negotiating power over my clients when it comes to my commission. Because if I can show my customer service, I know my business, and I know what it takes to buy or sell a property, why shouldn't I get paid for my worth? In a day and age where people think that agents get paid way too much and do way too little, this is the time for you to show that they are wrong. Why have them put their hands in their pockets or in your pockets? And again, you're going to own your market segments, your niche markets, and your areas that you're marketing in. All right. Are there any questions on this? Have I bored everybody with the presentation? No? Well, that's good. All right. So now what you're really concerned about is how do you access these stats? Well, we access the stats very simply all through the MLS. So what we're going to do is we're going to log into the MLS. Oops. Doing a great job. Thanks, Gary. Now, to access InfoSparks on the MLS, we're just going to simply log into the MLS, and we can access InfoSparks in typically one of two ways. Come on. Love the news feeds here. We can access the InfoSparks either from our home screen, from the external links widget. From here under the external links widget, we can go down and click on where it says InfoSparks Market Statistics, or we can come to the very top and click on the Links tab. When we click on the Links tab, this now gives us access to all of our third-party member benefits offered to us by CRMLS. We're going to scroll right on down this entire list to where it says InfoSparks. When we click on InfoSparks here, InfoSparks is going to open up, and we're now going to see several things going on. First thing that we're going to see here in the top left corner is that we're looking at the entire MLS database. Now, when we're looking at the entire MLS database, we have to take into account we're looking at more than 200,000 listings in our MLS database. We're looking at multiple different counties that are all data sharing with CRMLS. So Orange County, LA County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, San Diego County, Fresno, Sacramento, East Bay, all these other MLS systems. We're looking at all the different property types, attached and detached. We're looking at down below here at the bottom right corner under the statistic sales price, the median sales price. And we see that the median sales price in the entire MLS system is $730,000, up 25.9% compared to a year ago. Now, I know everybody here is immediately thinking, whoa, 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 Tony. I know for sure that home prices are well above $730,000. You're absolutely right here in Orange County or here in LA County or Riverside County, right? Why is that number so low? It's because you're looking at all the data in the entire MLS. So now we need to narrow this down a little bit more for you and what you need. How we're going to do that in several ways. And by the way, we're only looking at the one stat right now. So over here towards the top left corner where it says entire MLS, there's a down arrow. If I click on the down arrow, I can now start to break down this information by city, the MLS areas, the county, the zip code, school districts, or my areas. Now, my areas are searched areas or map search areas that I create, which I'll show you how to do that here today. But say you want to look at city statistics. We're going to click on where it says city. And now back at the top where it says entire MLS, we see our cursor blinking. Now, maybe I want to look at the city of, say, Mission Viejo. When I type in Mission Viejo, I'm now going to select the city of Mission Viejo. Now my stats immediately reconfigure to show me that the median sales price for all property types, attached and detached, the median sales price is $880,000. up 23.9% from a year ago as of June. Now, again, we're taking into account attached and detached. Now, as we all know, as real estate agents, attached and detached property data can be a little different, especially for the price points, right? Now, by the way, this is where we're now going to come down below underneath where it says Mission Viejo and apply our filters. And our filter that we're going to apply today is our detached filter. I want to see what properties that are detached, their median sales prices are like. I can select it by just clicking on it. And now we see the median sales price for detached properties in Mission Viejo for the month of June was $980,000, up 24.8% from a year ago. And we see that on the line graph here in the middle of the screen. And let me see if I can zoom in a little bit better for you guys. Does that help, by the way, zooming in? Now, we see here that Mission Viejo's median sales price is $980,000. But geez, what was the other information like, or what was the other dollar amount like for the city of Mission Viejo? Well, if I move my mouse over to the line graph, we're going to see here that it's going to show me June 2021 at 980. Then in May, if we start to move our mouse back, median sales price was 970, 931, 901. So if we even look back at the beginning of the year, January, you can already see that your home, or you can actually make a very compelling observation that homeowners who bought their properties in the month of January have gained more than $100,000 or $130,000 in equity in just a mere 6 months. Here, what I can do is I can go back a full year. Can you enlarge your screen to a full screen? I am on full screen, Gary. Do you not have me on full screen? You may need to click the box in the, if you're a PC user, in the upper right corner of your screen, click on the box to expand us out. Or if you're on a Mac computer, go over to the right side of your screen. And of course, you can adjust my portion. So if you have a split between my presentation and my video and my picture taking up a larger view of the screen, there should be a hard line in the middle. If you move your mouse over that hard line and click and hold it, then drag it over to the right to make my camera smaller, and it'll make my computer screen bigger for you. Did that help? Hopefully. So what we can do here real quickly is we can move our mouse on this line and we can go all the way back to June of 2020. And we see here that the median sales price in 2020 in Mission Viejo for detached properties was $785. So if you bought your home a year ago, which was around the height of the pandemic, I do believe, you bought your home at $785, you've already increased your home value by $200,000 in just 1 year. If we go back 5 years, if you're a homeowner from 5 years ago, or bought your home back in 2016, you bought it for $700,000, you've increased your home value, or your home value property has increased $280,000 in just a mere 2 years. That's phenomenal. Anybody impressed with that, by the way? Hopefully. All right. Now, I know most of you here today are probably marketing in several different cities or several different areas. What we can do, we can also show how different areas compare or different cities compare to each other. So over here next to where it says Mission Viejo, there's a choice here that says add an area. If I click on add an area, again, I can click on the down arrow, maybe again, select city. And I'm now going to type in Irvine. And now when I select the city of Irvine, we can see here for the detached property market that Irvine's median sales price is 1.369 million, up 27%. Mission Viejo, which is cheaper to live in, is at 980, up 24.8%. So homeowners, if you're living in Irvine and you're thinking about selling, you can pretty much almost get away with 1.3 million, depending on what your home is like. But if you were thinking about moving to Mission Viejo, well, you're going to live in a more affordable area. But those property prices are increasing just as much. We can even compare other cities. Now we can compare up to 4 different areas if we wanted to. So maybe Mission Viejo, Irvine, San Clemente. Oops. And maybe, let's go with Lake Forest. So now we can go over and show how these home prices compare to each other. This is amazing about Lake Forest. They're over $1 million in their property values right now. Pretty amazing. Now, by the way, you don't have to compare city to city to city to city. We all know that there are different areas within our cities, right? Like there are different areas within Mission Viejo or even in Irvine. Here, I'm going to go with Gary's suggestion. Let's go with Irvine, right? The detached market. But you know what? The homes or the neighborhoods I'm marketing are in Woodbridge. So here I can find the area of Woodbridge and maybe even compare the other area of Turtle Rock. For the detached market. And we see here that Irvine's at 1.3, up 27%, but Woodbridge is at 1.366, almost the same value as Irvine, but they're up almost 50% compared to a year ago. But here's a shocker. Turtle Rock is at almost $2 million, up only 1.2% compared to a year ago. So if you're marketing Irvine and you're marketing these areas within Irvine, now, geez, maybe somebody is thinking about selling or buying in these areas. Now, all of a sudden, you can talk about what's going on, how you see these property values. What's interesting here, just coming over and looking at this line graph, that at one point, Turtle Rock was over $7 million. I have to see why that is at some point. Are there any questions so far? Sticker shock. Yes, a huge sticker shock. Huge. Huge. Especially, what is it? Let's get rid of Turtle Rock and look at Irvine. Irvine just back in 2018 or 2017 was at $971,000. So 4 years ago, if you bought your property, you've massively gained equity in your home's value. 971,000 up to 1.369. That's a huge jump. What is that? $400,000 roughly? Can you imagine that home value being off 10% plus or minus? It could be this or it could be that. That's a lot of money to leave on the table. Now, some other filters that you might want to try, and again, your marketing, maybe you want to compare bedroom types or bedroom type properties. Okay. Now, instead of selecting them individually, what we can do is click on this two-way arrow here, which now says select all of these selections under this filter to give me my stat. So in this case, there are no one-bedroom properties that are detached. So we're going to unselect that by just clicking on that darker circle. But we can see here that two-bedroom properties, the median sales price is at $752,000, up almost 6.5%. Three-bedroom properties are at $1,059,000, up 15%. And of course, four more bedroom properties in the city of Irvine are at 1.52, up 20% or around 20% compared to a year ago. So you could put together a marketing piece and say, if you live in the city of Irvine, you may or may not be aware that your two-bedroom detached property is around $752,000. But if you're a three-bedroom property, you're at $1,059,000, four-bedroom and up 1.5. For a more accurate CMA, feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email, come back or come down to my office and let's meet. So here we have different ways of having talking points. Now, real quickly, we're just looking at the median sales price. What you can also do is simply go over at the very bottom here where we get to see the stats like, geez, show me the active inventory in the month of June. Because you may wonder why that median sales price has gone up so much. Well, let's look at how many active listings are up for sale. Here in Irvine, you have 225 active properties, which is down down 49% compared to a year ago. So one of the reasons that median sales price is so high is because there's not a lot of inventory. And if you look at a year ago, let's go back to June, you had 441 properties up for sale in the month of June last year. Now, granted, we see here from May to June, you went from 193 properties on the market to 225, so a slight increase, but it's still way below what it was a year ago. Great that people are beginning to list in Irvine, but still nowhere near to what it was. Even back in 2019, you had 600 properties up for sale. And if we look at that median sales price in June of 2019, you were still at 1.1. Incredibly useful. Yes, Gary, definitely. I think so. Here you can look at your pending sales, people getting into escrow successfully. We do see that it has dropped in Irvine, or actually, it looks like it increased. 154 properties increased by almost 11%, but actually has decreased from 180 to 154. So not as many people are getting into escrow. Probably why? Because they can't afford it, right? Now, closed sales are up. So 207 successful closings, up 117% compared to a year ago. So a year ago, you were at 95 properties getting it or closing escrow. Why is that? People were closed, pandemic, harder to keep, escrows were still trying to figure things out, how to do things, because nobody could go anywhere. And you had the mobile notary issues and all this other stuff, right? Days on market. We can look at days on market here. 7 days to get you into escrow. A decrease of almost 80%. So at $1.3 million in Irvine, it's taking people 7 days to get into escrow. Whereas June of last year, it was 34. 34 days to get into escrow a year ago. Today, it's 7. And it just seems to keep decreasing. It did jump up to 27 days in the month of December. Well, why is that? Well, geez, Christmas time. But since then, it's just dropped and dropped and dropped. Now, here's one that you guys will really pay attention to. Percentage of last list price being received and percentage of original list price being received. Now, the differences between the two is that percentage of original list price being received indicates how much of the closing price did they get based on what they were originally listed at. So, as an example, if I list a property with Gary lists my home for $1 million in the MLS. We end up getting into escrow and we close escrow, but we close escrow at $800,000. How much of my original list price did I get? Not taking into account any price changing. 80%, right? Now, percentage of last list price says how much of the current list price did I get at time of close. So that same listing listed at $1 million goes through a couple of price drops. And by the time I get into escrow, I have it listed at $880,000, but we close escrow for $800,000. How much of my list price did I get at that time? Or what percentage of my list price did I get? So if we look at this, here in Irvine, percentage of original list price being received, we see here that homeowners are getting 101.8% of their original, above their original list price. So it looks like nobody is going through price drops. You're not getting anything less than 100%. Now, how much of percentage of your last list price did you get? 101.5. So they're both right up there. So in a way, or this can help you talk to sellers and buyers in two different ways. With a seller, okay, seller, this is what homeowners are getting. We want to be around what is going on the market. That way I can get you either above or just above your asking price. Right? Now, if this was, say, 98, 97%, again, helps the seller understand, geez, I may not want to list it at the top end of the market because I may have to go through some price dropping or lowering before I get almost 100% of my asking price. Now, the opposite spectrum here for the buyer, this helps the buyer understand that they have to stop lowballing their offers. How many of you are working with buyers right now that still, for whatever reason, feel the need to still offer $100,000, $200,000 less than the asking price? And yet the buyer wonders why they're not even being countered. This is a great way or a great statistic to show buyers, look, homeowners are getting over 100% of what they're asking for. So if you want to be in that competition of being maybe getting a counter or getting your offer accepted, we need to start coming in either at list or just above list price. So in a way, it helps these buyers understand the market realities. Well, I don't want to offer what they're asking for. Well, then don't be surprised when they don't counter you, because they are getting that, or vice versa. Well, you can probably get away with offering just a little bit less because the homeowners aren't getting as much of their asking price as they thought. Does that help? Vicky, any questions on this? Now, by the way, if you don't like these sharp up and down peaks and valleys of your stats, then what you can do is you can start to smooth out these lines. How you do that? Over here in the middle left, underneath the filters and above the chart, you are looking at a month-to-month change called the monthly change. If we click on the down arrow, we can do the rolling 3 months. If we do the rolling 3 months, now what we're doing is we're saying take June, May, April, and then compare that to May, April, March, and then we're going to go, April, March, February, right? So we start to get a smoothed out line, not the sharp peaks and valleys of the month-to-month change. Or we can go and do the rolling 6 months. And again, this month with 6 months of data, vice versa, here really starts to smooth out the line even more. Or we can even just go and compare year to year each and every month. Now we've really smoothed out the line. Usually something like this is easy to share because people don't freak out as much each and every month seeing the sharp peaks and valleys, almost like that heart monitor graph, right? Nobody wants to see this. They want to see a nice steady increase, right? Vicki, no, this is great. Thank you. Awesome. How do you recommend sharing these stats with a client? Email, PDF, both? So real easy to share. Now, by the way, if you don't like the line graph, because I can tell you honestly, when you do print this out or you do email it out, people can't hover over top of the line to see what the previous numbers were. They just see that line, what it is now, what it was back then, and you've got this nice simplified chart. Instead of the line graph, what you could do is do a bar graph. And what I like about the bar graph is that it shows you a 3-year trend instead of a 5-year, but we get to see this year's or this month's stat this year compared to this month's stat of the year before, and then of course the same month stat of the year prior. So in 3 years, we get to see a little bit of an up down of the median sales price in the city of Irvine. But it's nice and easy to read. Now, this is really useful if you're doing that bedroom compare in any of your stats. Now, to share this, we're going to come over to the share button. Now, we have several ways of getting out this information, not just via email, not just via PDF. Here under the share button, we can create a static PDF document, either as a PDF or for a posting on our social media or in an email. Just simply choose one of these two, hit share. A link will be created where you can now copy and paste. But if you wanted to see what it looks like, just say view in window. And this is what that stat looks like. What I love about InfoSparks is that it's automatically branded with your information based from your roster in the MLS. So make sure that you go through the MLS and update your roster data. You can even add in a profile picture to your roster so that way when you create reports like this for a client or potential clients to share out or email out, it's automatically branded with your information. But it's nice, crisp, and clean. Now, real quickly, how many of you actually have a website? Just a quick show of hands. Anybody? Anybody here have a personal website? Good, Vicky, you do? Now, Vicky, I'm going to ask, seeing how you're a new member, on your website, I'm going to assume you have an about section, so it talks a little bit about you. And then you have your listings, right? Like an IDX feed of some sort, right? Yes. Denise, please show where you start the share. Oh, sure, Denise. So Denise, what we do is after we put in our information, like the city, the filters, the stat we want displayed, just above the charts and graphs and up underneath the filters, you have a button here called share. Do you see that? When we click share, you can now select a choice. In this case, I selected social media email, which is a static report, to share. And now I can click view in window. And now I can download this, print this, do whatever I need to with this. Now, for those of you with a website, like Vicky, Vicky only has an about section and an IDX feed. Great for any real estate agent, but now what makes you stand out amongst all your other colleagues? Remember how I said you need to be able to be a source of information to become the market expert, right? InfoSparks is going to be the way to do this. Now, what you can do to do that is this. Here, what we can do is create an embedded link for our website. Now, if I keep it the way it is right now and I click share, InfoSparks now creates the necessary link for it to be displayed on my website. Now, here's the problem though. I've chosen that this be a static report for this particular stat profile. Now, that means that I now have to create one each and every month for my website. Does anybody want to have to do this each and every month? Wouldn't you like to set it and forget it? Yes, right? Well, this is how you're going to do that. So for us to have updated statistics on our website, what we are going to do, and let me find my mouse. Where's my mouse? Did my mouse just disappear on me? Great. I think my mouse just died. There we go. We're going to start over. So now to make an embedded link, but instead of it being a static link where I have to now update it manually myself, I am instead going to create a live link. So now I'm going to select live to embed on my website. So now what does that mean? That means that now when the month comes up, the month of August kicks in, now these stats that are showing June numbers will automatically update with July's numbers. When September rolls around, this particular stat will now update with August numbers, and so on and so forth. So now what I'm doing is providing updated, accurate information on my personal website. So the way you could do this, and even though this only shows one stat at a time, I am not limited to how many embeddable links I can put on my own personal website, short of the website designer saying no more. But ideally, what you could do is maybe make numerous stats for the different areas to be displayed on your website. So maybe you have a tab for, say, Irvine properties. And there in Irvine, in the middle of the screen are all the current properties up for sale based on the IDX link. But then to the left and the right of the properties are the various different stats pertaining to Irvine properties that are updated each and every month. And then I have another tab of another local area like Costa Mesa that I market in. And again, same situation. The properties in the middle, and then to the left and the right of the properties are all the individual stats that I automatically have. So here we are now becoming not just a real estate professional, but we're now becoming a source of information. If you look at any other agent's website, you probably go, geez, what makes my website stand out from theirs? What makes me stand out as an agent compared to another agent right down the street? It's your statistics. It's what you're providing. It's not just handing it out or email blasting it out. I'm now saying when I direct people to my central hub, which is what a website's for, you are the center of the information. You are the person to come to. Well, why not give the information there to make people want to come back to your website more often? Does that make sense for everybody? Are there any questions on that, on the share? All right, real quickly, the My Areas choice. The My Areas choice here are basically saved searches or saved criteria for your InfoSparks. So if you wanted like neighborhood statistical data, you're not going to find anything by neighborhood so much unless you draw it out. Now, how you do that is very simple. At the very top, next to where it says InfoSparks, headed over here towards the right-hand side of the screen, there is a choice that says My Areas. When we click on My Areas, this is now going to open up a map. Now here it's going to generally show you the entire state of California for our statistics. But as we all know, MLS won't give me necessarily, San Jose reading, information. But what I'm going to do, in this case for my neighborhood, at the very top middle, I'm going to type in the location. So maybe I'm going to look at a particular property address location. So that neighborhood. Now we see here that it didn't zoom in, but it did place a map pin. Now this is one of the things I dislike about this map, but just know that you can zoom in on that pin. Okay. Now when you zoom in, you now need to outline or draw around your neighborhood. Now if you are marketing that neighborhood, you're going to know your neighborhood boundaries. This is where our drawing tools come in, like that polygon. Click on the polygon and now find your start point and draw all the way around your neighborhood. Now, once you do that, now you're going to come over here to the top right corner and click Save. Now, what you're going to do is you're now going to name the neighborhood. So now if you're doing this for, say, the Pelican track, you can now save this data. It's going to analyze your drawing. It's going to say you have a 1/10 of a mile or a 1/4 of a mile or a mile drawing. You got so many listings based on that drawing, and now we can hit close. Now, to look at information in this neighborhood, we're going to go back to InfoSparks. From here, we're now going to click on the down arrow next to where it says entire MLS. We're going to come down below to where it says My Areas and click. This will now display all my created areas that I have on InfoSparks. We find the Pelican track, we click on it, and now we can look at our neighborhood statistics, to which again we can print or share to the world. Maybe we know that there's a detached market in there as well as an attached. Maybe there's only 3-bedroom properties. We can show whatever we need to at this point and display it. Are there any questions on the My Areas section? And again, we can compare different neighborhoods together, right? that I've drawn out. So I go in and I'll go with my clamshell track as well, and maybe my other area of the seahorse. So we can now show those different neighborhoods and how they compare together, or we just keep them individual, because I like to do an email blast of neighborhood information. Anybody like this? Oh, and of course, one I know everybody's curious about, what's Orange County like? The median sales price in Orange County as of June, 1.135, up 29% compared to a year ago. Even last month, we hit the all-time high of, what is it, 1.1 million. Month before that, close to it. So Orange County can now say that they're officially above $1 million averages. Kind of crazy. And how do you show the bar graph again, Denise? Sure. Over where it says line, here in that middle section, right hand side, click on where it says line and then choose bar. Kind of amazing here in Orange County. Just a mere 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we were at 848 as the median sales price. Today we're 1.1. Did that help, Denise? Gary says he loves it. Excellent. All right. Yes, you're welcome. All right. So now, besides InfoSparks, you also have, because this is a really good tool to see one stat at a time, to be able to get it out there regarding maybe that one stat that you like to talk about based on your neighborhoods. But maybe some of you like to give information entirely and look at all these stats at the same time. This is where the OC FastStats or the FastStats tool comes into play. Now, to access OC FastStats, we can now go to Orange County Realtors' website, ocrealtors.org. From here, we're going to move our mouse to where it says Resources. A drop-down menu appears, and we're going to click on where it says Business Tools. Now, this is a free member benefit offered to Orange County Realtor agents, and unfortunately, OC FastStats only gives Orange County data, as well as Orange County city information, as well as local areas. Now, just to show you how to access this, once we go to Orange County Realtors' website, go to Resources, drop-down menu appears, click on where it says Business Tools. From here, we have a tile that says OC FastStats. When we click on OC FastStats to read more, we're now going to log into the FastStats. Now, how you log in is very simple. The username and password is the same username and password that you use to log into Orange County Realtors' website to be able to pay your bills. Simply put in your user ID for the MLS. And then your password typically is your 4-digit PIN number to your super key. Now, if you're an older agent or a more veteran agent where you've been in the business longer than, say, 5 years, this may be alphanumeric, meaning a mixture of letters and numbers. Whatever you use to log into Orange County Realtors' website is the same username and password that you're going to use to log into your FastStats. Now, from here, this is where we have the local market update reports and the monthly indicator report. The monthly local market update reports, we can now look at the county data. So we see here that the county data, hopefully if it comes up, there we go. And I'm going to zoom in here, has been updated for the month of June. We see attached and detached data, new listings, pending sales, closed, days on market, median sales price, so on and so forth. We see the month of June of this year compared to the month of June of last year, their percentage change. And then of course the rolling 12-month comparisons of the same stats. All able to be put on a simple one-page report. Great for when you're working an open house or maybe you're door knocking. You can now hand out all the stats at once. Now, that's just looking at the county data. What we can also do is look at the city information. So maybe in this case, we're going to look at the city of, oh, I don't know. Let's pick a different one. Let's go with Santa Ana. From here, we're going to see that with Santa Ana, we can look at the full city report as well. So we can now compare the county against the city. So we see here that in the county, the detached information is at 1.149. And again, the reason why that looks different is because it's a pre-printed or pre-set up report. That's usually created on the 3rd of every month, whereas InfoSparks is a live update of data. So that's why that number showed at 1.135. Okay, just the timing of when the data was pulled at the time it was created. But here, 1.149 compared to Santa Ana's $790,000 as a median sales price. So live anywhere else in Orange County, you could be paying over $1 million for a property. But if you live specifically here in Santa Ana, yes, your home prices have increased by almost 16%, but it's still way more affordable than anywhere else in Orange County. Not a bad deal, right? Now, you'll also notice here under the report section that in that, not only can I look at the city data, but I can also look at the individual areas within that city. So as an example, if I choose north of Heel, south of Balboa or Bolsa and Brookhurst, we can now see how the city or the area within that city stacks up. Now you'll notice here on the reports, none of these have your personal branding, but that's okay. Because before you hand it out, you're going to be able to modify this report to apply your branding to this report. Now, before we start going over the branding, this is the monthly indicator reports, or the local market update reports, sorry. So here I can now choose the individual cities that I'm marketing in, choose the individual areas within that city to pull up statistical data. And now nicely and easily display it in a one easy page report. Are there any questions on the FastStats so far? No questions? By the way, have I overwhelmed everybody? I haven't seen anybody just leave or scream. You haven't turned on your microphones. That's a good thing. No questions? I don't even see questions in the Q&A section. All right. For those of you, would you please pull up the Rancho Mission Viejo? Sure. Rancho Mission Viejo. We can look at that, and we can see some information. I know there's still a fairly young city area, but here you go. Just a year ago, $899. This year, $1,050,000. So nice appreciation for that area. Kind of amazed about that area. Even the attached properties have gone up slightly by 10%, 622 to 685. I can tell you, I remember a day when I lived on the East Coast that attached properties was your starter property. And you can get 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo for $30,000. When I moved out here to California, I was amazed that that same $30,000 property was worth $160,000. Now I'm really amazed that it's increased even more so for the same type of property. So home values here in California are crazy. But it's good. It's good for you guys in your business. Did I help, Denise? Oh, I do see a Q&A. So somebody asks, you're doing good, Tony. No questions. Thanks, Priya. I totally appreciate that. All right. So now let's show you something else fun. For those of you who like to show market trends, because one of the things that we talked about is the trend is your friend, right? And you're going to deal with those types of personalities that want to know and understand the statistics in a greater detail. This is where the monthly indicator report comes into play. The monthly indicator report, in this case for Orange County, will be a beautiful 15-page report going back close to 20 years in its trends for all the stats. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select from local market updates, and I'm going to click on where it says monthly indicator report. And now I'm just going to select Orange County. From here, this 15-page report opens up. We see on page 1 some information about finance, what's going on in the nation, as well as what's been happening in the county. But what you really care about is this here. Right on page 1, we see that the change of the median sales price for detached properties in Orange County increased by 31.4% compared to 2020. We see the change of the median sales price for attached properties has increased by 13.8% compared to a year ago. Combined median sales price for both attached and detached properties have increased overall by 19.9%, or basically 20%. So right away, if we were thinking about what to talk about, page 1 of this monthly indicator report gives you a nice little blurb to start your conversations and how you can now compare your numbers immediately, because the first thing that people always want to know are home prices going up or down. And this is a great way of being able to see that right out of the gate. Now, down below here, we have a table of contents outlining detached, attached, and of course, all the individual stats. So we see here by page 2, starting with detached information, a nice little page here. June of 2021 compared to June of 2020, their change, so on and so forth. But what I like about this, not only do I get to see those individual numbers, but I also see here a nice little bar graph going back, what is that, 4 years. June, May, April, March, February, January, December, on right down the list. So we now get to see a nice little bar graph, the ups and downs, with a nice little 3 or 4 year trend. And it's interesting, they now break it up into 6 months, whereas before it used to be years. And I think because of the volatility of what happened last year, they decided to show the difference between the first half of 2020 and the second half of 2020. But here's where we're going to really dive into this. I'm not going to bore you with going over the individual stats like before with attached and detached, but what I want to show you here is by page 4, we're now going to break it down to the individual stat itself. Now, what I like about this here is that at the very top, and I'm going to increase this a little bit more, we've got detached, attached, June of 2021, 2020, and 2019. So we see here that new listings coming on the market In 2019, we were at 2,305. Today, we're at 2,011. So in the past 3 years, we've decreased our number drastically. It has decreased even before then with the amount of new listings coming on the market. Same thing for attached. But here we have something a little bit different. We started off in 2019 or had 1,382. We actually increased in attached by 2020 to only be below today. So we're even below what we were 3 years ago. Over here, detached, attached, 12 or a full year of data. Now, what I like about this also is that you also get to see the individual numbers for each and every month and their year comparison change. But more importantly, what I like to show you is this bar graph or this line graph for the stat. We see here a line graph, 2021, June, going back to 2003. So here we get to see the ups and downs of our trends going back, 18, 19 years? What I like about this is that we get to see in our markets, January to December, January to December, January to December, what we normally see as trends. Usually, beginning of the year, it starts out low inventory. Then by mid-year, people start, or I should say not inventory, but new listings coming on the market. Then by mid-year, you get your peak of people wanting to list, and then it starts to tailor down or trend off by tail end of the year. So something like this, you can show a potential seller, when's a good time to list? Do you want to list your home when everybody else is, or do you want to list your home when not so many people are listing, not as much competition? So now you can start developing your marketing strategies for a seller by showing them things like this. Now, you can look at this for all of your particular stats. In this case, for Orange County. Now, one that I always love to show, because I know a lot of people go, well, geez, is this sales price thing ever going to end? Are we going to go through a bubble pop? What's going to happen? Well, here we're going to look at the median sales price. So we see where we're at today compared to where we were in yesterday, right? So we see back in 2003, the median sales price was just a little over $400,000. I think it was specifically $440,000 for a detached property back in 2003. Then as the years went on, up at around 2007, 2008, we hit our peak at $750,000, right? $750,000 in 2007, 2008. And then what happened then? The crash, the market crash, right? The recession that everybody talks about. Not the depression, but the recession. Then prices started to sharply drop. Now, a lot of the experts will tell you that the bottom end of the market was 2012, right? For real estate. Well, look here. Remember how I was saying that Orange County is the microclimate to dictate what happens to the rest of the nation? Look here. Our bottom end was actually 2009, not 2012, like a lot of the experts says. It was actually 2009. So in a mere year and a half, we actually bottomed out at a little over 400,000. But wait a minute, look here. Even though a lot of people just said it's fully crashed, nothing else, you've never ever appreciated, not true. If we look here, the bottom end here is still slightly above the bottom end previous. So no matter what, when it comes to a real estate investment, right? Whether it's your personal home or maybe an investment property, what you bought it at. If you bought it at the bottom end of the market, guess what? There are always going to be ups and downs in the market, but hopefully the bottom will never ever surpass the previous bottom. So 6 years have gone by and still there was appreciation. I want to say it was about 480 was the bottom end. So you still bought it at 440, you still had a little equity at 480. But if you bought your home in 2007 at 750, yeah, you lost a lot of equity, right? But look, it's totally surpassed. 1.149 has surpassed the top peak in, what is that, 14 years? So a decade and a half, we have now increased our home values, if you bought back in 2007, by over 100 and almost 200%. Anybody impressed with that? Now, I know a lot of people go, well, geez, does this mean that we're going to now all of a sudden go through another crash? Well, this is where if you are using a PDF editor, you can actually take stats and show them how they can relate to each other. So maybe I'm going to take a PDF editor, I'm going to cut out this historical median price to show where we're at today compared to where we were back in 2007, right? Which may generate a lot of conversation of, hey, does this mean that we're going through another recession or possible? Well, let's show you again how stats relate. And that is going to be the most important stat, inventory. Right? Remember that supply and demand that we talked about? Inventory says something vastly different. Inventory here shows what? Is there a PDF editor that you like or recommend? Let's see. If you're a Microsoft person and you're using the latest and greatest version of Microsoft, Microsoft Word has a built-in PDF editor in it automatically. So if you're paying Office 360, which is I think they're $100 a year, then Microsoft Word automatically has that PDF editor built into it, which is super nice. There is Adobe Acrobat, but that's at $450 per year, which I'm not too fond of that, but I'll show you some other cheating tools to be able to edit a PDF, but converting it into, say, picture files that you can actually edit a photo with other free applications that are out there to cut and paste and all that other fun stuff, which I find far easier. Why was the combined number at the top of this report lower than the individual detached and attached numbers? Are you talking about why they took the stat of inventory and combined detached and then attached? Just for simplistic sakes, they didn't want to have a 15-page report go up to like 30 pages, just because they wanted to give each side their own charts and graphs. Let's see. Why is the combined number at the top of the report lower than the individual detached, attached numbers? On page 1, let's see. Shouldn't be. Those should be exactly the same. So let's see here. So 31.4% detached. All right, so let's take a look at that median price there. And let's see here. Huh. Yeah, 31.4%. It's right here. It's the same number. For some reason, they, instead of putting the newest number at the top of the list, for some strange reason, it looks like they put that newest number at the bottom of the list now. I want to say a month ago, it was totally reversed. The stats you suggested starting a conversation, yes, 31.4% for a median detached property and up 19% for a attached property. Oh, Doesn't make sense to me. And I see here that the attached market is only up 13.8%. So what you're doing is you're combining attached and detached numbers for the median. Now, if you understand what median is not average, okay? So the median price of something is this. Maybe you have 30 sales that go on. The lowest sale being $5,000, the highest sale being $34 million, right? Out of those 30 sales, number 15 is that number, right? So you've got 30 detached sales. So the median detached number falls into that 1.1 million number, which is up 31%. Whereas the attached sales, the same 30, or say there's a 30 property thing here, and that one shows $50,000 as the bottom number, and the detached or top number was, say, 600,000. Now number 15 is a different number. Now what they do is they now combine the two. So now you've got 60 properties instead of 30 each. So now you've got 60 properties, still with the same top and bottom number of, well, now the bottom number is from the attached at 5,000, but the top number instead of 60 or 600 is now that 34 million. So now out of 60, number 30 falls at a different number. So that combined of 19.9%, Vicky, just means that they're pulling that number from a different spot in their chart. Does that make sense? Mac users thought you would subscribe to Microsoft Office. You don't need to. If you've got Mac, you can use Keynote. And I'm going to show you how to use Keynote to apply the picture. Sure. So this number here looks at 30 properties, roughly. The bottom number being $50,000, the top number being 34 million. Okay. But the number 15 slot, which is that median area, is at 1.1. Attached, 30 listings, bottom number is 5,000. The top number is 600,000. Number 15 is at 400. Now, when you combine the two, you've now got 60 properties. Bottom number is $5,000, but the top number is 34 million. Number 30 is going to fall in between at maybe a different number. So that increased price of the combined is going to be vastly different than it was with the attached or detached single numbers. Good. All right, so back here to inventory real quickly, just to show you all how the median sales price is still at 1.149 or 1.135 is this. If I can get to it. Our inventory says something different. If we look back at those same 2003 chart, the detached properties up for sale, inventory wise, we were just over 4,000. And our median sales price in 2003 was $440,000. So you have 4,000 properties that the median sales price was pretty good, right? Then 2007, 2008, we had 12,000 properties on the market at $750,000 before the crash. That was before the crash, officially. So we had 12,000 listings on the market at that time. Look at where we're at today. We are well below even that 4,000 mark. As a matter of fact, we're at 2,622 properties. So 18 years ago, we had a higher inventory than we do today. It's this inventory that has now inflated our price, right? Because there's not a lot of inventory to choose from. So as real estate agents, what you want to look for, yes, so these other factors like, top dollar's got to bottom out at some point or level off at some point, right? What's going to key on to that? Interest rates, demand, because people just all of a sudden we have to make sure that people can still afford things, right? But also sellers' willingness to want to list their homes. If this number all of a sudden started to skyrocket up, then I'd be a little worried that something's going to happen to the pricing, because these are two direct relationships here, right? Remember that sellers or buyers market, supply and demand. Well, this is where we're going to be able to help determine what that pricing is going to do based on that inventory, which is probably why people are delaying on on foreclosures and evictions and all this other stuff, because they don't want another recession to happen. They're trying to come up with other ways, even though that inventory is low, to not affect or crash the market again, right? And put in that scare into the economy. So we just got to be able to look at these and keep track of this, because if we keep seeing that uptrend like we are now, and we start seeing it up, then we're going to notice that price is going to either level off or start to come down, because now all of a sudden we're getting more inventory, and now all of a sudden there may not be the demand. Now all of a sudden we're going to have that flip of the markets. Anybody like this? Now, how do you brand it? How do you brand these stats? Very easy. We have several ways, several tools, some expensive, some non-expensive. So talked about one of the expensive ways. You might go out and buy online Adobe Acrobat. Adobe Acrobat, $450 a year for you to edit any and all PDFs or create PDFs. Not so expensive way. Maybe I purchase Microsoft Office to use Microsoft Word, which has a minor PDF editor in it. Or if I'm a Mac person, I could use, I do believe it's Pages. Pages has a very, very minimal PDF editor built in. Okay. Or I try to download an app on my iPad to modify the PDF, because I can do that too. But again, it's going to cost me some money. Now, if you already have maybe the free version of Microsoft, or you like to use Google Slides or Keynote, Slides, PowerPoint does not have a PDF editor built into it, but it does have the capability of picture inserts. So I know what you're thinking, Tony, what do you mean by picture inserts? Meaning that you can insert an image and then modify the image. Okay. So how do I get this document to be an image? Well, I'm going to convert the file. Now, how we do that is using third-party software or a third-party website called Zamzar, ZAMZAR.com. It's a free website. It's a file conversion website. I love it. It's really easy to use. And it takes a matter of just seconds to convert any document into any other format I need. How we do this is very simple for me to be able to brand this document. I'm going to first download this document. So here in the upper right corner, I'm going to click on the downloads, and I'm going to put it into my downloads folder. Okay. And sure, I'll save it to my desktop. Now, with the file downloaded, oh, and we have a question here. If the feds raise the bond price, interest rates will go up. Will this drive the price down? It could, Denise, right? Because if you drive interest rates up, people now can't afford the properties that they could afford before. So this now means that they can't afford as much as what they could before. So now that may all of a sudden start to pull that price down a little bit. So yes, interest rates do have a factor on pricing. That's why we need to keep track of what the Feds are going to do, because they can only make that interest rate low so often, right? You know, that was the big thing. A lot of people refied last year because interest rates dropped below 3%. And why a lot of homeowners aren't relisting, because they don't want to pay a higher interest rate. Because I think the interest rates are now what, just a little over 3, right? Because that's a few $100s, you know, in some cases, a couple of thousand to your payments. So you got to keep track of stuff like that always. Did that help answer your question, Denise? Good. All right. I think that that's what is affecting inventory. Yes, a lot of factors are affecting inventory. A lot of people know that if they sell a home, they may not be able to buy an equal or superior home here. Tax rates. Nobody wants to get put into a new tax bracket for their property taxes. I mean, there are a lot of factors, but you know, low inventory is a real huge factor in why that price is so high. And like I said, as more and more people begin to list, that price will start to do something like this. Hopefully not like this, but at least level off and start to steady increase. But there's a lot of factors. That's why you are just well informed. But just right out of the gate, talking just strictly MLS data, you know, there's the numbers. You can't lie about it. All right. So here we downloaded the PDF. Okay. Now, once we download the PDF, yes, no, not ZAN, Vicky, ZAMZAR.com. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pop over to that website, www.zamzar.com. Okay. Now we're going to follow an easy 3-step process to convert that file into a JPEG or picture file. Okay. Number one, we're going to add the file. So because we downloaded it, we know exactly where on our desktop that is. So now we're going to find it. And where's my Santa Ana property? There it is. There's the Santa Ana PDF document. We're going to open it. Now I'm going to choose option number 2, what I wanted to convert it to. If I click on the down arrow, here are all the different file types that I can convert that PDF document into. Here I'm going to select under image formats, JPG.jpg. Okay. So now I'm going to take this PDF and I'm going to make it into a picture. And now I'm going to say convert it. In less than 3, 2, 1, hopefully the file will now be converted and be able to be re-downloaded. So we see here that now we have a Santa Ana JPEG file ready to be downloaded. So now I'm going to download the file back onto my computer. Now, from here, I'm now going to open up, say, Keynote or PowerPoint or Google Slides. When I open up this program, but ideally what you could do, and this was, there we go. Let's just grab it and drag it. There we go. Should have known better. So now what it's doing is it's inserting the picture onto my sheet of paper, okay, here in Keynote. Now what I can do once that installs or inserts is I can now rotate it to fit on the sheet of paper, okay? But more importantly, what I can now do is add in text, like text boxes, onto this document and type in my branding, right? My name, my logo. Maybe I even have my logo as a JPEG. So now I can just simply grab that logo, pull it onto this document, resize it, place it, do whatever I need to with that shape to now brand the stats with my own branding. Now I can print it out. Some of us may even have an open house flyer that's only one page. Take that PDF document of the flyer, convert it into a JPEG file, add in another sheet of paper here on my PowerPoint or my Keynote, and then insert that flyer as page 2. Now when I go to print, I print front and back. So on one side is my flyer, on the back are the stats with all of my contact data as well. Does that help explain how to brand this a little bit better? Are there any questions on this? No questions? All right, well, if there are no questions, and by the way, I can also make sure that you get a copy of today's presentation going over how to actually brand using Zamzar and the steps. But if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me or call me. My number is 949-586-6880 or 6800 extension 104. Again, that's 949-586-6800 extension 104. Or feel free to email me at Tony, Tony, at ocrealtors.org. And actually, before I leave, or before we end this, I do want to show you one other thing here, because I know everybody always asks, well, what about, LA County or San Diego County? Can I look at FastStats from them? Yes, you can through the report. Back here at InfoSparks, there is a choice that says FastStats. And from here, what this does is it breaks it down by regions. So right away, we can look at the local market update reports anywhere in Orange County, or I should say anywhere in California, right? Northern California, Central California, Mid-South, or Southern California. If you want, just simply choose that choice, and now you can select the county. And now you will open up that one-page report based on that county's statistics. And then again, you can brand it with whatever you need to. So you are not limited to just Orange County, but when you're looking at the one-page reports for OC FastStats, we only work with Orange County cities. But just know that you can look at that anywhere here. Are there any questions on any of this? Are you guys excited and more comfortable about talking about stats? Vicki, are you excited now? For sure. Excellent. I know Gary was. So I want to thank everybody again for attending today. Oh, we have another question. Is there any way to embed the OC report into a website that updates automatically monthly? Unfortunately, Darcy, there is not. If you're talking about that PDF document, there is not. They literally create the PDF and email us the PDF document, and then our web designer goes through and embeds it into our website the way they do through their program. So unfortunately, you just can't take that and embed it. So what you could do is do the InfoSparks embed for all of Orange County, doing the individual stats just like we did. So again, if you did the InfoSparks and chose Orange County in this case, and selected Orange County, you could literally, at this point, under the share choice, do embedded live links yourself. Embed a live link and then copy and paste it into your website. Or take this, copy and paste it, email it to your web designer, and they will embed it onto your website. But again, do that for all the stats pertaining to Orange County. Did that help, Darcy? And that will update automatically each and every month. Yes. Are there any other questions? Well, if there are no other questions, again, I want to thank everybody for attending today. Thank you so much for letting me talk your ears off and hopefully show you some new fun tools to be able to help you market and become the market expert. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email me or call me. My email, Tony, Tony at ocrealtors.org, or call me at 949-586-6800, extension 104. Hope you guys have a great and wonderful day, afternoon. Hopefully I might see you for this afternoon to create property websites to help market your listings. So with that said, have a great and wonderful day, and I'll talk to you all later.